could we do something together to say, okay, you rebalance, you consume more, manufacture less. We are going to consume less and manufacture more, and we'll be military rivals. There'll still be an economic rivalry, but we're going to level the playing field by a lot.
This is my video update on this Saturday afternoon, April the 5th, coming to you from Ayia Napa, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the rumors that the European Union will be sending a special envoy to Russia in order to engage with Russian President Vladimir Putin. And according to the UK Telegraph, that special envoy will be none other than, drumroll please, it will be little Napoleon, Emmanuel Macron. According to the Telegraph, Macron to be Europe's point man in ceasefire talks with Putin. The coalition of the willing, the coalition of the no more. What happened to the whole Stammer, Macron, Zelensky? We're going to put boots on the ground in Ukraine in order to fight the Russians. What happened to that? Or is that still a go? Macron is playing both sides. He's playing warmonger and peacemaker. Emmanuel flip-flopper Macron. So this is just a rumor. I don't know how much I believe this story pushed out by the UK Telegraph. But the president of Finland, Alexander Stubb, he did say that, and this guy really, really hates Russia. I mean, he really, really hates Russia, Alexander Stubb. And he came out and he said that it's time to engage with the Russians. It's time to talk with Russia. So there may be some truth to this story from the Telegraph. Emmanuel Macron as the envoy, the special envoy to speak with Russia. What happened to stunning and brave Kaja Kallas? You can't send her to Moscow. That would be impossible. Ursula? Tatters Ursula? No, you can't send her to Moscow either. Special envoy Annalena 360? Would she even know how to get to Moscow? Would she just be going in a circle? I don't know. I don't know if you could send Annalena either. I guess they had no other option than to send Macron. This idea was first floated out there by Spain's Sanchez a couple of weeks ago at one of the EU meetings. Sanchez proposed some sort of a special envoy to go to Moscow to talk with Russia because the Trump administration was negotiating with Russia. The European Union was cut out of the negotiations. Russia is winning the military conflict. Russia has won the economic war. The sanctions placed on Russia, they have all been defeated. Russia is more popular than ever. BRICS is rising. The European Union is crumbling. And so Sanchez said, look, and Sanchez is no fan of Russia either, but he said, look, we need someone to engage with Putin ASAP. We can't send stunning and brave Kaja Kallas because all she does is trash talk Russia. And then Kaja Kallas got pissed off at Sanchez and she said, wait a minute, I'm the foreign minister of the European Union. And she started to get into it with Sanchez. It looks like Sanchez won. And they are going to, most likely, they are going to appoint someone outside of the EU foreign ministry to go to Russia, to travel to Russia and to speak with Putin. 4 or 5 years ago, it is super windy here. 4 or 5 years ago, I would have said Macron, yeah, he's someone that can speak with Russia and with Putin. But now, after all of the stuff that he said about Russia, after all of the escalation, no way, man. No way is he the right guy to send to Moscow. Though I do have to admit, I would like to see Macron travel to Moscow. I would like to see the Russians say, okay, Macron, come to Moscow. Come to Moscow, let's talk. Because I would like to see the Russian government thoroughly embarrass and humiliate Macron in front of the whole world. That would be fun to watch. Anyway, that's the news coming out of the Telegraph. Many outlets have now picked this up. Du Sauvage, du Sauvage, Emmanuel Macron, Christian Dior, du Sauvage with his shirt open. He is going to be the hairy chest, the shirt open. It is going to be Macron, who most likely will be representing the European Union in possible talks with Russia. You know what? Remember that photo? Last time Macron was in Moscow and he met with Putin, and it was this huge table, like a massive table, and Putin was sitting on one end, and he put Macron to sit all the way down on the other end. Now we know why. That mystery has been solved. It was because Macron was wearing the cologne. He was wearing too much of the Eau de Sauvage. And he probably came into the Kremlin, and Putin was like, oh man, this guy, man, I like Dior Eau de Sauvage. That's what Putin said. I like it. It's a nice fragrance, but man, is this guy wearing too much of it. Put him to sit down over there. Yeah, mystery solved. Oh boy. So the New York Times, they are reporting from the NATO foreign ministers meeting that Rubio is gone full in with the European Union, with Kellogg and Waltz, and he is on board, 100% on board, with unconditional ceasefire. Russia is stalling, and they will not accept the unconditional ceasefire. And if they don't accept the unconditional ceasefire, then they will be punished. This is according to the New York Times. There's video of Rubio making various statements where he says as much. He talks about how the Russians, it looks like they don't want peace. It looks like Putin is stalling. He refuses to accept the unconditional ceasefire. Everything that Zelensky and the European Union and Kellogg and Waltz have been running with. Rubio basically repeated all of it at the NATO Brussels foreign ministers meeting. And he said that if Russia does not accept the ceasefire in a couple of weeks, then the Trump administration, they're not going to be able to help Putin anymore. That's right, because according to Rubio, there are senators in Washington, he's talking about Lindsey Graham and Dick Blumenthal, that are putting together more sanctions against Russia, including a crushing oil sanctions package. And he said that the Senate is going to approve this. There's nothing the Trump administration can do to stop the approval of these sanctions. And so he is basically issuing a warning to Russia saying, look, if you don't agree to the unconditional ceasefire in a couple of weeks, we're not going to be able to stop Graham and Blumenthal and the other senators in DC from placing more sanctions on you guys. That is what Rubio said. U.S. patience on Ukraine is running out, Rubio warns Russia. Whether the Kremlin is serious about peace talks to end the Ukraine war will become clear soon, the Secretary of State said. So there you have it. Rubio, Kellogg, Waltz. Those are the guys that are on the ceasefire track when it comes to negotiations between the United States and Russia. And then you have Witkoff pretty much all by himself when it comes to the normalization of ties, let's do business track with Russia. The neocons, the three neocons in the Trump administration. So that's Rubio. And let's talk a bit about Trump and the European Union, because the EU, they are saying, or at least analysts who are taking a look at Trump's tariffs against the EU, they are saying that the tariffs that Trump placed on the European Union will cost the EU 380 billion euros of goods. It's going to hit 380 billion euros of EU goods. First estimate shows 70% of European exports to the US are at risk of being affected by tariffs, an EU official said. We've got tools, Ursula. That's what Trump said. We've got tools. We've got tools. Van der Crazy. You got tools. We got tools. 380 billion. That's a lot. That's a big hit that the EU is going to take. The European Union, in about a week or two, they're going to announce their retaliation, which will be on services. I've talked about this in various videos. They're going to announce this retaliation in a couple of weeks. Let's wait and see how this mini tariff war between the United States and the EU plays out. But I will say this, 380 billion euros, that's going to really put a dent in Ursula's 800 billion euro defense slush fund. That's going to put a real big dent in her plans to create an 800 billion euro defense fund. It's going to get very bumpy for Europeans, for the European Union. How is Ursula going to absorb this tariff hit and raise 800 billion euros so that she can place it into a fund for the militarization of the European Union? If anyone knows how to do this, it's Ursula von der Leyen. She'll figure it out, I'm positive. The worst thing to happen to Europe, Ursula von der Leyen. My God. Oh boy. Canada's Carney, he came out with a statement yesterday after the Trump tariffs were announced, and all the countries they absorbed the news of the Trump tariffs. They digested the announcement of the tariffs, Liberation Day, and Carney, who has an election in when is his election? In a couple of weeks, April 28th, right? He said that he is going to be forming a coalition of, no, not coalition of the willing. No, that's Stammer's. That's Stammer's coalition. Actually, that's George W. Bush's coalition. What Carney is going to do is he is going to form a coalition of like-minded countries. I told you guys in a video that I made maybe 3-4 weeks ago that everyone is getting a coalition. It's what all the cool kids are doing. Stammer's got his coalition of the willing. Carney has announced that he's going to create a coalition of like-minded countries. It doesn't have the same ring, does it? A coalition of the willing. Okay. Coalition of like-minded countries. I think the exact title of Carney's coalition is Coalition of Like-Minded Countries that share the same values, or something like that. That's the full title. But we'll just go with Coalition of Like-Minded Countries. And then Carney went on to say in a statement that because the United States is no longer the leader of the free world, the leader of the collective West, Carney said that Canada is ready to take over the lead position from the United States. Oh, Carney. Carney's turning out to be pretty funny, I have to admit. I didn't expect that he would be as entertaining as Trudeau, but he is off to a very good start. Mark Carney, former head of the Bank of England. So U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent was interviewed by Tucker Carlson. And Bessent talked about the tariffs, of course. That was the main subject of the interview by Tucker Carlson, which is on YouTube, on X. About an hour-long interview. Definitely worth checking out. Bessent says some interesting things. And the main topic, of course, was tariffs. And so Tucker asked him about tariffs against China. Yeah, this is not swimming weather, huh? Not at all. It's beautiful, though, I have to admit. So he asked him about the tariffs against China. And Bessent, he described the dream scenario. This is how he views the tariffs against China, for which China has already retaliated to the Liberation Day tariffs. But Bessent said, look, here is the dream scenario. I'm not saying that this is how everything's going to play out. I'm not saying that I agree with Bessent, but I'm just going to give you what he said. I'll give you a summary of what he said with regards to tariffs against China. He said that the dream scenario is some sort of rebalancing between the United States and China. And he said the goal is and he said this is not going to be overnight. He said it's going to take a couple of years. But the goal is that China consume more while manufacturing less, while the United States consumes less and manufactures more. And he said over the next couple of years, this will create a balance, a rebalancing between the two powers. He did say they will remain adversaries, military adversaries, economic competitors. But he also said that he's not worried about things escalating because he said that Trump has a very good relationship with Xi Jinping, and they talk to each other, and any type of escalation can be avoided. That's what Bessent told Tucker Carlson. Tucker also asked Bessent about the minerals deal with Ukraine, because it was Bessent that traveled to Kiev to try and get the Green Goblin to sign off on the minerals deal. The first time that the Green Goblin was going to sign off on the minerals deal, it was Bessent that went to Kiev. And he basically said that Zelensky, he's an actor, man. That's what Bessent said. He's an actor. I went to Kiev. I explained to him the agreement. He said he's going to sign it. And then he backed out of it. Then I told him, okay, when you come to the White House, we'll have this nice little ceremony. You'll be able to sign it then, and then we can have a nice lunch. And he didn't sign it then. And then Bessent said that he failed to sign it another time. So I believe that Bessent pointed out 3 instances when Zelensky said he's going to sign the rare earth minerals deal, and he backed out of it. But Bessent said the guy's an actor. He's an actor. I don't know if he used the exact word actor. He may have even used a harsher word, actually. I forgot exactly how he explained, how he categorized Zelensky, but it wasn't favorable. So that's the news there. And let's shift gears and talk about, unfortunately, we have to talk about the conflict in Ukraine and the conflict in Yemen. And we had 2 military strikes, one by the Russian military in Kryvyi Rog in Ukraine, and then we'll talk about the U.S. military strike in Yemen, which is a very, very controversial strike, of which Trump posted the actual strike on Truth Social and on X. I'll get to that in a minute, but let's start off with the Russian military strike in Kryvyi Rog. I'll give you both sides of the story, but according to the Russian Ministry of Defense, now this is important, the Russian Ministry of Defense issued a statement, not Putin. Putin did not post anything on social media, nothing like that. The Russian Ministry of Defense, they put out a statement the other day, and they said that they hit a facility in Kryvyi Rog, I believe they said with an Iskander missile, after they had intel, reliable intel. It was a precision strike, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. And they hit a hotel, I believe is what they said they hit, a hotel or a hotel restaurant. And at this location were 80 Ukrainian and foreign officials, mercenary soldiers, perhaps generals. They were at this location, and this missile took them all out. And that's the Russian side of the story. The Ukrainian side of the story is that Russia hit apartment buildings. Where are we going? That Russia hit apartment buildings, and there were civilian casualties because of this strike by the Russian military. Let me read you. What an interesting path. Let me read you what is going on here so we get an accurate report of this story. Russia has said that it carried out a missile strike on military personnel in the eastern Ukrainian city of Kryvyi Rog on Friday evening. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, its target was a meeting place of commanders of military units and Western instructors in one of the restaurants. Up to 85 Ukrainian and foreign soldiers and officers were killed, and up to 20 vehicles were damaged, the Ministry of Defense said. Ukrainian officials reported that the missile struck a residential area, damaging several apartment blocks. Alexander Vikol, the head of the Kryvyi Rog Defense Council, said that 18 civilians were killed, including 9 children, and 56 people were wounded. Dmitry Lubinets, Ukraine's top human rights official, denied that military sites were present in the area. So that's both sides of the story. Russia says that it took out 80 plus foreign and Ukrainian soldiers and officers. And Ukraine said that Russia hit a civilian target. So I don't know what's true. I will just give my opinion as to past events. In past events where Russia has had intel of Ukrainian soldiers at some location, most of the times it is a hotel or a hotel restaurant or something like that. When the Russians have had this intel and they have hit these locations with missiles, after some time, it was eventually proven to be accurate information from the Russian Ministry of Defense. Now, this doesn't mean that this time around it's the case, but I'm just telling you from the past strikes on these types of facilities. After a few months go by, it later comes out that these facilities were indeed hotels where mercenaries or soldiers were staying at, or restaurants where they were meeting at. Once again, it doesn't mean that that was the case with this strike. I'm just telling you how it was in the past. And so that brings us to Yemen. I will say this, if Russia did manage to take out a lot of foreign military officers, that's going to hurt. That is going to hurt Stammer. It's going to hurt Macron, because most likely you're talking about UK, French, possibly Polish, maybe US officers, if that was indeed the case. And I say if that was the case. So that brings us to the Yemen strike by the United States. Dlia Arendi, Zonit, 250 for a Zonit. Lejac, 250. See, English, Greek, and Russian. Cyprus. That's Cyprus for you. English, Greek, and Russian. So we get to the Yemen strike. This is bad. This is really bad for the U.S. military, but especially bad for Russia. It's a horrific crime, if this is indeed the case of what happened, and I'll explain to you what happened in a bit. Then it is a crime what the U.S. did in Yemen, what the U.S. military did in Yemen. But I do have to say if, because once again, I can't be 100% accurate or knowing what exactly was the situation. But it goes like this. Trump posted on Truth and on X a video of Yemen people, right, in a circle, more like a rectangle than a circle. But they were gathered outside, out in the open too. Completely out in the open, not a hotel, not a restaurant, not a military facility, nothing like that. Completely out in the open, which is pretty revealing right there. But they're out in the open, and Trump says on his post, "These Houthis gathered for instructions on an attack. Oops, there will be no attack by these Houthis. They will never sink our ships again." And the people that were standing in this open area, in this rectangle configuration, obviously they were all killed, or at least that's what the video shows. And so when Trump posted this, many people, we're talking hundreds if not thousands of people, let Trump know that this wasn't some sort of military gathering. This was how tribes in Yemen get together to meet, to discuss things. And they posted photos of how people in Yemen, the culture in Yemen, get together and they form a type of rectangle or circle so that they can discuss various matters. A tribe gathering is basically what Trump hit. Possibly what Trump hit, I have to say that, possibly what Trump hit. Why would military officials have a meeting out in the open without any cover? Right? Doesn't make any sense. You would think that if there was some sort of a military gathering and plans were going to be shared, that it would be in a more secretive location with cover. So I think that says a lot. Why Trump decided to post this on Truth and on X. Why? What's the purpose? You don't see Putin posting stuff like this on any social media. Military matters are for the Ministry of Defense. They make the statements. They talk about the progress of the conflict. That's what they're there for. Why is Trump posting videos like this? Why is Trump saying they will never sink our ships again? Is it Trump's way of saying that the Houthis have sunk U.S. ships in the past? Horrific situation. At least that's the way it looks. Doesn't look good. I don't know who's advising Trump or telling Trump to go ahead and post stuff like this. He shouldn't post stuff like this. Stuff like this shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening in the first place. And my opinion, and it's just my opinion, once again, I can't be 100% sure on this, obviously. But my opinion is that when you look at the situation, it looked like it was a tribal gathering of of just people gathering in a circle outside, and the U.S. military decided to hit them. That's the way it looks. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's the case. Either way, it's a terrible situation. And Trump's foreign policy, they really need to get their act together. What is the U.S. doing with Yemen? What is the purpose of Yemen? Is the U.S. at war with Yemen? I've said this in the past, and I got a lot of pushback when I said this, but is the U.S. at war with Yemen? Sure looks like the U.S. is at war with Yemen. Is the U.S. in some sort of a conflict, some sort of a special military operation? I don't know. If that is the case, and I'm not saying I approve of it, but if that is the decision of the president and his team, then Trump needs to get in front of the American people from the Oval Office and issue a proper statement to say, as the President of the United States, I've decided, right, against Yemen. You just can't post something on social media and say, look, we wiped these people out because they were getting orders to, they were getting instructions for an attack. I mean, makes no sense. Out in the open. Makes no sense at all. Anyway, Trump got completely crushed on X. When you go to the replies, he got completely crushed. Anyway, that's the terrible news. Unfortunately, in these videos, I cover a lot of terrible things that happen around the world, but it is what it is. Let's talk about Poland now, and let's go up there. Grecian sands. Looks nice. Let's talk about what's going on in Poland, or at least Odessa in Poland, as we walk our way up to the Grecian Sands Hotel. So the Polish, I believe, deputy agriculture minister, I think that's this guy's position, he said that it would be swell if Poland would own a piece of the Odessa port. If Poland would own a piece of the Odessa port. That is what he said. Interesting statement from the deputy agriculture minister. Poland deputy minister eyes key Ukrainian port. Warsaw should control a wharf in Odessa, top agriculture official has said. Well, I will say this. Coming out and saying that that Poland might be eyeing a piece of Odessa, that is not going to be taken well by Russia, not at all. That statement is going to be studied by Russian officials. And if I had to take a guess, and it's just a guess, I would say that the Russian officials are going to take that statement from Poland, from the agriculture minister, and they're going to probably be saying, you know what? We better start focusing on Odessa, because Poland obviously has their eyes on Odessa. Anyway, let's get to a clown world and wrap this video up. Wow. And I hope the audio turns out all right, because it is super windy. Let's do a clown world from up here. And let's start things off with a photo of Annalena 360 meeting with Klitschko, the mayor of Kiev. I think this is a new photo. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's an old photo and it's just now surfaced, but I do believe it is a recent photo. Does it matter? Not really. Not really, because the clown world is the photo of Annalena 360 in a very deep intellectual conversation with Klitschko. Oh my God. I wonder what they're talking about. What could Annalena and Klitschko be talking about? Oh my God. Oh boy. What do you guys think they're discussing? Klitschko's telling Annalena, look, here's the deal. 360 degrees, it means that you turn 3 times and then you count to 60. That's what 360 means, Annalena. And Annalena's telling Klitschko, no, Klitschko, that's not correct. 360 degrees means that if I'm facing this way, then I turn that way. I face in the opposite direction. That's what 360 means. It's half of a circle, Klitschko. Half of a circle. You're not very good at geometry, are you? Oh boy. All right, and let's do one more clown world. And for this clown world, we go back to the Tucker Carlson interview with the U.S. Treasury Secretary, and they were talking about Nord Stream, right? Nord Stream. Actually, Tucker asked Bessent about the tariffs against the European Union, and Bessent brought up Nord Stream, and he said that Trump had warned the Europeans about Nord Stream and being too dependent on Russian gas and Russian energy. And then Tucker said, yeah, Nord Stream, we blew it up. Tucker's like, we blew it up. And Bessent's reply was, I don't know. I read somewhere that it was a Norwegian fisherman that bumped into it. And they were both laughing. I mean, Nord Stream has become a joke, really. A huge disaster, an attack, a terrorist attack on infrastructure, on European, German, Russian infrastructure. That's what Nord Stream was, and it's now become a joke that even the U.S. Treasury Secretary laughs about and says Norwegian fishermen bumped into Nord Stream. Crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. So I think that's it. I will wrap up the video. Do I have any more topics to discuss? Alex Ovechkin. Yep, he is now tied with the great one, Wayne Gretzky. 894 goals for the Washington Capitals. He has how many more games left? Let me know in the comments down below. 6 more games left. And then he breaks the record held by Gretzky. Man, Gretzky was amazing. I remember watching Gretzky. Absolutely amazing. Ovechkin, amazing. An amazing hockey player. An amazing accomplishment. That's a lot of goals. That is a lot of freaking goals. So I think it's either 6 or 9 more games left. That should be plenty of time for Ovechkin to break the record. What an accomplishment. That's the video, theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odysee, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, like what I'm wearing in this video. The link is in the description box down below, 15% off. Use the code SPRING15.
You already get most of your energy from Russia and you're going to double down on it. And they did. And look what happened. So
we blew it up.
Somebody did.
Somebody did.
Somebody did.
Probably Putin.
I don't. Some Norwegian fishermen bumped into it, is what I read.